Waiting for people to join. Here we go. Let's see if I've got the wrong camera on. Nope, I don't have the right camera. Okay. Okay. It's all crooked, but there we go. All right. Waiting for people on TikTok and YouTube to join me. Don't have anyone on yet, but I'm going to be talking about Inner Earth. Inner Earth. Hi, Stacy. You're my first one. I just hit the live button. Wanda, you're number 2. I just hit the live button. Jack, you're number 3 to join on TikTok. I'm live on TikTok and YouTube. I've got one person on YouTube already. All right. People are coming in. I am Tracy. I do past life regression and higher self hypnosis. And I also help people look at what they do in between their lives. So when they die in a past life, like what happened to them? Did they go to source? Did they kind of just go on a conveyor belt and get recycled, so to speak, on this karmic wheel? What happened to them? So I look at all kinds of different scenarios of possibilities, and I see everything, meaning like I see all kinds. It's never the same for anyone. It's pretty cool how an infinitely creative, not just universe, but existence our souls have. It's pretty cool. I get to see so many different things. Like I'm so blessed to do what I do. I truly am blessed to be able to do this kind of work and be able to get this information, hear from so many people's higher selves. It's really cool. So tonight I want to answer anybody's questions they have about past life regression, life in between life regression, and higher self hypnosis. But I also kind of have my own agenda here of talking about an interesting higher self hypnosis session that I had where my client learned about something called Inner Earth. And if you are into conspiracies / truth, real truth, you're going to like this one. So we're going to talk about Inner Earth. We're going to talk about aliens, talk about reptilians. And I don't know if my video will end up getting taken down on YouTube. I'm going to have this recorded on YouTube. So if at any point you have to leave or jump out, you can always go to my YouTube channel under the same name, Woke Lightworker, and watch the entire thing under my tab that says live. It's all my past lives that I've done. And in my lives, I do a lot of teaching and talking about different sessions that I've had that are all over the board for people's higher selves. So welcome everyone on TikTok and YouTube. We're going to talk about Inner Earth, conspiracies, reptilians. Do I see this kind of stuff in my sessions? Yes, I see this stuff in my sessions. I haven't talked about this really yet at all, and I've been seeing this stuff for years, but I haven't been talking about it because I have been trying to play it really safe on social media and not get my channel taken down. So since this is a live on TikTok, I thought I might be a little safer because it doesn't like get recorded out there, and hopefully on YouTube, it doesn't get taken down either, but we'll see. So I had an interesting session, and feel free to send your questions in too, guys, about past life regression, life in between life regression, and higher self hypnosis, because I'm going to be talking, like I said, I have some notes here, and I want to be talking about a recent higher self hypnosis session I did where my client's higher self started talking about Inner Earth. And I don't talk about something and if I only hear it one time from one person's higher self. Normally I have to hear it a number of times from different people. And I do higher self hypnosis sessions and past life regressions for people all over the world. And so because of that, because of having them be all over the world, I know that if they're saying the same thing from South Africa as somebody in Los Angeles, and these people have never met, they don't even live in the same part of the world, yet their higher selves are saying the same thing, I feel pretty safe sharing this information. So I've gotten a lot of information about reptilians. I've gotten a lot of information about Inner Earth. and lots of different stories. And I need to go back and look up more of these stories because I've had so many over the years. But here's a recent one that I had and I want to share with you guys. Okay. So I'm going to read my notes so you guys can hear what happened in her session. Abby says, I'm actually in the same town as you. Pretty sure it's a sign to come see you at some point in time. I am in Nashville. So I used to live in Virginia, but I'm in Nashville now. I moved here just the summer before last. And I like Nashville. I like it. It's fun going to Broadway and in Nashville. That's where all the country music is, and eating at the restaurants and just being in mobs and mobs of people. It's fun. But okay, so I asked this client's higher self. She wanted to know, Abby said I've lived there too. I wanted to ask her higher self, if she was of angelic descent or something else, like what is her kind of origin, so to speak. Her higher self said she's a light being, love and light and kindness. And she's here trying to help save the earth, which is why a lot of people are here at this time. A lot of people who are waking up or have woken up spiritually are here to help try to save planet Earth and help us ascend to a higher vibration, ascend to a higher frequency. And so that's why a lot of us are here. And so if you guys know who Dolores Cannon is, the mother of this kind of hypnosis, she has a book called The 3 Waves of Volunteers and the New Earth. If you haven't read any of Dolores Cannon's stuff, that's a really good one to start with. She has a lot of hypnosis stories in there. She calls the higher self the subconscious, but it's literally, it's the same thing. She's just calling it a different name. There goes my daughter in the background. But anyway, so she talks about volunteers coming here to help, quote unquote, save planet Earth. So this client was told she was here to help save planet Earth. And her higher self said, we feel really defeated at the moment, but we know that it's going to be okay. So I said, why are you feeling defeated? If you're here to save planet Earth, why are you feeling defeated? Her higher self said, there's so much hate in the world. It's an ugly place right now. And I said, where's all the hate coming from? What is the origin of this hate? Okay. And this is where it starts getting interesting, guys, and where her session took a turn where I didn't expect it to go. And her higher self said, or she said okay, let me explain something. So she was very, very present in this session and talking as her higher self, but her conscious mind was very much there and part of the session. But she said, she described it afterwards, that it felt like there was just this knowing and this voice coming in her head, and the answers were just kind of flying out. So it was like your higher self is the real you, without the trauma, without the drama, without the beliefs, without holding account if somebody did you wrong or did you dirty or anything like that. So your higher self is the real you. It's the part of you that goes on life after life. It's like the voice for your soul. And so, your soul doesn't die. Your soul goes on from life to life to life. And so the higher self, I say it's almost like having a GPS in the sky, because it gives guidance. And if you turn right here when you were supposed to turn left, your higher self, if you're listening, your higher self will be like, okay, you should have turned left back there, but that's okay. Let's recalibrate, go 2 more blocks, then take a left, talking about your life. So if you learn to listen to your higher self by doing a lot of, I guess I call it healing work on yourself, clearing beliefs, trapped emotions, forgiveness, working on forgiveness, things like that, you can have a closer relationship with your higher self. And of course, quieting your mind enough to hear from your higher self. Because if our brain is always thinking and always going and always busy, we don't hear from our spirit team, our spirit guides, or our higher self, because our brain is just too busy. It's like chewing gum, all these distractions, social media, TV, just life in general. It's so busy. We don't take time to actually get bored and listen. So things like journaling are huge, because that's a way your spirit team can speak to you. Meditation, going for walks in nature, and really just clearing your mind, not having your phone on, not listening to music while you're doing it, really just quieting your mind. So I'm just going to take me, for instance, and then I'll get back to the story about inner earth, guys, because I know a lot of people have questions about higher self and how do I connect to my higher self? How can I be more connected to my whole spirit team? So just for myself, when I was able to finally start really hearing from my higher self, I set the intention. First, I said, just scream so loud in my ears that I can't miss you. Like, I want to hear from my whole spirit team. I want to hear from my higher self. I want that kind of guidance. And every morning I would wake up and I would, first thing before I even was like really with it, I was just kind of still groggy and out of it. I would say, okay, spirit team, what message do you have for me today? And then I would just blank out my mind, and whatever came to my mind first, of course, that was positive. If it was not positive, I knew it was my ego mind, my personality self. But whatever came to my mind first, I'd say, okay, that's it. That's my message for the day. So it might be, what can you do to show yourself love today? Name one thing, Tracy, you can do to show love to yourself today. It might be a simple message like that. But then I also did a lot of work on healing myself, healing trapped emotions, healing trauma. I've been through a lot of traumatic events in my life, like many, many people have, just different flavors of traumatic events, right? And so I really, really set to work on healing myself and spending hours and hours a week in meditation and healing meditation. And I read everything I could get my hands on, and I listened to spiritual teachers. There was just a lot of work I did on myself, and I did it really intensely, really intentionally and intensely. So when I was able to finally start really hearing from my higher self, just at a moment's notice, hi, Martha. So happy to see you too. When I could hear from my higher self just at a moment's notice, just by asking a question, and bloop, the answer was there in my head, I said, what was it that wasn't enabling me to hear from my higher self like this and hear from my spirit team prior to this? And I instantly heard my higher self tell me that the veil between the physical and the spiritual really is a thin, thin veil. But I wasn't able to hear through it or see anything through it because it was so black, so to speak, because of beliefs that I held, unforgiveness, anger, resentment. I used to have so much anger in me, crazy anger. I couldn't even get on the road without raging against everyone who was driving on the road at the same time as me. But just all these trapped emotions and things, cherish. My daughter's walking in the background over there. Just all these trapped emotions and things that were making that veil like a black color. So I couldn't hear from them. I just had too much going on in me. So like I said, through doing all those things I did with the meditations and the healing and the learning and the growing, lots of affirmations, lots of journaling, carried crystals around. I took all kinds of classes and courses and certifications, starting with Reiki and just learning anything and everything I could to try to bring healing and bring more light into my life and release what felt so heavy to me. Then I could start hearing from my higher self more. And it's really incredible, you guys, if you pursue that path. And I know, I get it. So someone on TikTok, user with a whole bunch of numbers, said, I'm tired of being on earth. It can be really tiring, but it can also, I'm telling you, it can also be really amazing if you learn how to live from the perspective, from the viewpoint of your higher self, and not from your ego, or people call it your personality, because your personality believes that everything's separate and they're separate from me and I'm separate from them and they're good and they're bad. And it's all about judgment and comparison and separateness and wanting other people to love you and validate you, instead of learning how to get that from your team and from yourself, from your soul. So it doesn't just happen. It's not going to fall out of the sky for you. You actually have to pursue this kind of relationship. It's like any relationship. How bad do you want it? And you have to pursue it. You have to work at it. You have to do things for it. I mean, look at marriage. People dedicate many, many years of their life in marriage and partnerships, and all of that effort and energy. It's kind of like that. It's dedicating even more. If you want it quicker, it's even dedicating even more energy and effort into that relationship, if that's what you want to have. And you're going to get the fruit of whatever you put into it. Whatever you give, you're going to receive out of it. And I just wanted to fast track it because I was in a lot of pain and nothing was working. Therapy wasn't working. I was miserable. I felt trapped in my marriage. I mean, there were just all these things that were just not going well in my life. And I was really miserable and on the verge of suicide. And I just had to do something different. And so I just started following the breadcrumb trail of excitement. Whatever excited me at that time, at that moment, spiritually, I just did it. And I trusted that there was a little breadcrumb trail that was then going to lead me to some relief, some healing, some sense of connectedness and out of what I was living in into something different, because I was done with that. Like you said, user, I'm tired of living on earth. It's really tiring. It can be really tiring. And I'm always learning. I'm constantly learning, constantly growing. If you guys want to know what I'm reading now, it is an incredible book. I've made several social media videos about content from it, but it's Eckhart Tolle's book called The Power of Now. I don't know that it's probably the first book I would read if you're newer to spirituality. Probably not that one, but it's really good. But probably one of the first ones I would read is a book by Mary Ann Williamson called A Return to Love. That was the very first one that I read and was recommended to me by a spiritual teacher who I said, what can I read to start learning about this stuff and what I asked her. And she recommended A Return to Love by Mary Ann Williamson. And it forever changed my life. But if you've been on your spiritual journey for a while, and if the title of the book resonates with you, I do recommend Eckhart Tolle's book called The Power of Now. It is incredible. And I'm learning so